And this man in the text, right before the mother could get to Jesus, there's some jobs that only a father can do. Man, get in your place. Remember when Jesus got ready to feed the multitude, he said, make the men sit down. Yes. Because when the men get in their place, women will get in their place. Yes. Because a woman can't follow a weak man. All right. I wish I had a witness here. All right. A child can respect a weak father. You got to be man enough to say, Father, I stretch. It's not a sign of weakness to bring your children to church. It's not a sign of weakness to pray for your children. It's not a sign of weakness to let your children see you on your knees. It's a sign of strength for your children to know you praying for them. Yes, sir. When my mother told me to do something, I hesitated, but I finally got it done. When my father told me to do something, I knocked somebody out the way to get it done. That's what I'm talking about. Because a barn needs a man to cave his chest in. A barn needs a man to knock the wind out of it. Because every one of us who are men, there was a time when we got a look in our eyes that, I think I can take it. And my father knew that look because one day he had that look in his eye. And your mother, girl, knows that there's a look that comes in your eyes when you decide, this old heifer getting on my nerves. And if she said one more thing to me, it's on. Oh, boy. And before you get the mind and the thought to form in your mind, your mama already dive on you from the door. Oh! You don't even know why she slapped me. You don't even know why she knocked you down. Because she saw that look in your eyes that said, I think I can take her, or I think I can take him. And my daddy saw that look in my eyes and he said, listen, Slim. Listen, Slim. Two kings can't sit on the same throne. Amen. Amen. The minute you think you're man enough to have your own house, you got to get your shack. All right. But this one is mine. And then my father, with that kind of stern, manly approach to being a father, my father would get down on his knee and ask God to bless his children. And if you see him walking in a way I didn't raise them, catch them by the reins of their mind. Yes. Turn them around before it's everlasting too late. I didn't see my daddy cry until he got to be an older man. Because my father was so strong and so stern and so manly. But as he came towards the end of his life, he started to cry. It made me know that a real man feels right now. A real man loves his children. A real man cares for his children and puts himself in the way that his children will be blessed. A real man loves his daughter so that when she looks for a husband, she looks for somebody like her dad. Absolutely. Amen. I know that boy had a mother, but his problem demanded a father. And that father went to Jesus. He said, I need you to come and heal my son. Jesus told him to go. And listen, the journey from Capernaum to where Jesus was in Canaan was 25 miles. This man is a nobleman. He is a high-ranking official. So I know he didn't walk to Jesus. He went there perhaps on a chariot, or he rode a steed, or he rode a camel, or he had an entourage. Because as a nobleman, he didn't walk to Jesus. Somebody brought him, or he rode a chariot. He got there quickly because his son was at the point of death. But when Jesus told him go home, he took his time. Don't miss that. Well, let me give you the scripture. He that believes shall not make haste.
All right.
When you trust God, you don't have to get in a hurry for your miracle.
Absolutely.
When you believe God, you don't have to get in a hurry to get to your blessing. The man could have gotten there in an hour or two, but he took 24 hours.
Oh, my.
He took a whole day. He just strolled. Took his time. Stopped by Burger King. Got him a Whopper. Got him a Coke. Looked at his watch. Answered some emails. Texted some people. And then got up and leisurely made his way home.
All right.
And when he was almost at the house, the servants came out and said, your boy is alive.
Right.
And the father said, what time was it when he started feeling better? And the servant said, yesterday at 1 o'clock, the fever broke. And that's when the father remembered that that's when Jesus spoke the word. Because when Jesus speaks the word, you can take your time to get to your blessing.
Absolutely.
Talk back to me if you can. When Jesus speaks the word, just believe it. And when you believe it, God has already settled it. What he promised, he's able to perform. Faith has some obstruction. Faith has some operation. But in verse 53 and 54, faith has an objective. I'm through. In verse 50, the father just believed and went on his way. He believed and went on his way. But in verse 53 and 54, the scripture says again, the father believed. Now, he don't have to believe twice. Because the first time he believed for a miracle. But now this belief is in the Messiah. Because he's past miracles now. His belief now is in Jesus. And not only does he believe, but his whole house.
All right.
When you trust God, your children watch God working in your life.
Yes, sir.
Your wife watch God working in your life. Your co-workers notice that there's something different about you. You are not the same, and it changes everybody around you.
Yes.
The scripture says, he believed, and when he believed, his whole family. I don't want to go to heaven without looking around to see some family who believed because they watched my testimony. I'm in church today because my parents, my mother and my father, made me do what was right. I'm a Christian today because I had a strong man in my life. I had a strong pastor. There were strong men in my community where I grew up. There were men who mentored me and watched over me. I am a strong man now because I was mentored by strong men. My pastor was a strong man. My pastor, I can still hear him now when somebody questioned him what he was doing as pastor of the church. He said, I'm going to run it if I got to run it in the ground.
All right.
That's a strong man. We were singing a song in our church one time. I was playing the music, and the choir was rehearsing this song, Jesus Will Never Say No. My pastor came out of the study and said, I don't want to hear that song in this church another time, because Jesus will say no. That was in 1978. They had not sung that song in True Life Baptist Church since 1978, because my pastor was that strong a man. Strong men have no problem following a strong man. And when a strong man is saved and mentors his children and his family, the Bible says not only did he believe for the miracle, but he believed in the Messiah.
Yes, sir.
and his whole house was saved. If you live in a Texas zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years, listen carefully. I was an insurance agent for 30.
I think we're trying to start. I'm gonna turn it off. Get back to it. I was getting in it. How was it to see?
Buddy, all right? It looks like Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How is everyone? We may be doing things a little bit differently this morning. We may be going through this pretty quickly. I have a stomach ache. My stomach hurt. I know I went and told my staff my stomach was hurting and all of that stuff. So one of them, and we won't say that it was Miss Charnel because we just don't need to identify her like that. But she said, "Go do your group, and then you can go home. But you got to do group first." So you see how I'm highly loved and favored by this group of folks here. So let me, we got a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to do some stuff this morning, and it's a little bit different, but it's okay. So we have to have our sign-in sheets done. Make sure that it's legible. There's still a couple of folks that are not doing it real well, and it's kind of hard to figure it out. So if you don't, if your signature is not really legible, then just write your name out beside it. And we have our books. We haven't been doing a whole lot in the book because we are going through the same thing that we went through last week. But on the third stage of this, and do remember that this is not a 5-day thing. This is stages through your life. And so on the third stage is, this is a good place to be. We're preparing to do something. So I need to be at a place where I'm preparing to do something. So it says you're actively You've been thinking about improving your physical health. And look, we all need to improve our physical health. Thank you, sir. Everybody has signed in. Nobody has not signed in. So, go. Signed in. Say it again to me. That guy there is on a Zoom meeting. Okay, well, when he gets back, he can do something. So we all need to improve our physical health. We've developed or begun to develop a plan toward improving your physical health. I did. I came up with a plan, and I work my stomach every day. Maybe that's why my stomach is hurting. I had I moved it. I do different things, but I did. Why you don't like the group?
No. Oh,
Oh, you ain't got no place to sit? All right, we're going to have to figure that out because you got to be in the group. We'll get you a spot. So anyway, make sure that you got them and all of that kind of stuff. When we turn them in, Mr. Gold, I don't have your sheet. So I don't know what you're studying on there. I'm sure it's deep. But okay. All right, so this morning we're still talking about physical health in recovery. This is our guy here. What do you think is going on with him?
chaos.
He's got a what?
Chaos.
Got a lot of chaos going on with him and all of that. On this side, it says the right choice. This is the right choice. There's a treatment facility called the Right Choice. There's another called the Right Step. And Miss Casey and I both know a little bit about the right choice and the right step. So, this is not that. This is just us making the right choice. And then this over here is goofy, stupid stuff. Sometimes we make the wrong decision. We wind up in the goofy, stupid stuff part, right? We don't need to be doing that. We need to be making the right choice. How many times do you think we need to do that?
Make the right choice.
Yeah. Every time, the man said, we need to make the right choice every time. I think that's probably a really good goal to be moving toward. Is that something you think is liable to happen? Probably not. Well, I've made the wrong choice a lot of times. And so the real big deal is when I make the wrong choice, what am I going to do about it? Yeah, stop at some point. Right, turn around, right. Stop at some point and turn around so that I can make the, even if I'm going down the road toward the wrong choice, at some point I can turn that around, right, and head in the correct the area. I was in Walmart this morning, and I'm walking through Walmart, and I had to walk through all of the candy section to get something that I wanted to get, And so I'm walking through there, and I'm looking at all of that stuff, and of course my addiction is telling me, you need some of them M&Ms. You need some of that right there. Look at how that would be good, wouldn't it? My limbic system is trying to kill me. So at that point in time, I had to think about some other stuff, do some stuff that's called cognitive restructuring, and change the way that I'm thinking. So I started thinking about the bad things that would cause in my life. And so it helped me out a little bit. And I was able to turn away from that. Some of the things, our goal for the day. What's our goal, real quick? Our goal for the day, goal for the group for today is going to be to learn how to make the right decision. Okay? So that's a big deal. Learn how to make the right decision. So what time do we get up? What time is feet on the floor? What time is it? What time is feet on the floor? 6 o'clock in the morning. Boy, is that early?
Yeah.
That is for some people. That's a huge early thing. Yeah, it's not for me. I get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning. But why would we want everybody to get their feet on the floor at 6 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, people get up early. We're trying to get to a place where it's just like we need to get to group on time. We need to get back from break on time. We need to do all of those things on time. We are preparing ourselves for real world stuff, right? That's what we're doing. It's not a hotel. It's not something like that. So we just know that at North and here, we need, when it's time to have feet on the floor, guess what? We need to have feet on the floor. So just sharing that this morning. So we're going to look at some opposite action first. We have some cognitive restructuring we want to do. But look, we're still talking about physical health right now. And some of this is going to be about mental health as well. Sometimes we have to make sure that our mental health is where it's supposed to be if we're going to get our physical health in line, right? Right? Somebody say, yeah, that's absolutely correct. Okay. Say it myself then. Yeah, that's right. So this guy right here is saying, but I don't like to. What does he not like to do? Make the right choice. He may not like to exercise. Anybody here that don't like to exercise? Sometimes, I exercise every day of my life, and I go work out 3 to 4 times a week now. And I will tell you, almost every time, I'm not really thrilled about going and doing that. I'm not really happy about doing that. You start doing crunches and stuff like that. That's hard work. It's not fun. You go there, start lifting weights and doing all of that stuff. It's not all that much fun. Now, I will tell you this, that once you get started, you can get into it, and then it's fun. I watch the guys out here playing basketball and doing stuff like that, and they get into that, and they're having a lot of fun doing that, right? I watch Mr. Gold walking around. He has a real stern look on his face when he's doing that, but you just know that after he gets about halfway through that stuff, he's enjoying that stuff. He enjoys himself walking around out there and all of that kind of stuff. And I saw him the other day that he was walking down through here, and there was a couple of squirrels following him. You get it? There was a couple of squirrels following. Squirrels are always out there looking for nuts. You know that, right? That's what they do. So I'm not saying, anything bad. But I don't like to, and at some point, I need to take a look at the things that I don't like to, and then see if I need to change those things, right? One of the things, if I don't like to exercise, can I change that? What am I going to do? If I'm going to be able to change that, what am I going to do? One of the things that we have to do, it doesn't make any difference what it is, and we're talking about emotion, we're talking about the things that we know are good for us, eating the right types of foods. We had somebody, we won't point out who it was, it doesn't matter who it was, but don't matter. But there was somebody in here who said, look, I don't care what the heck everybody else says, I like to eat, right? Sometimes we have to take a look at what we're eating, take a look at our exercising, take a look at how we're living, take a look at the fact that I don't like to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but that's the rule. So sometimes I need to have a way of changing not only my attitude, but my thinking about it. Y'all remember, and we talked about him before, but who is Epictetus? He is a philosopher that lived way back a long time. He's older than I am. So he lived a long, long time ago. And Epictetus said it's not about what happens to a person that causes him to react negatively. It's how he feels about it. How he thinks it's going to affect him. It's how his emotions are wrapped up in that. It's not what happened. It's how somebody can come in here and walk in that door right there and come over here and say, y'all bunch of stupid, no count, no good for nothing, lower than a snake's belly and a rag and what pieces of trash. That's going to affect every one of us different. I don't care. Used to I would. Used to it'd be fighting words. But nowadays, I don't care how you think. I don't care what you think about me because I know who I am in the Lord God, and so you don't matter. Whatever you think is what you think. And here's the other thing. What I think of you, that's my business. Not yours. And what you think of me is the same thing. It's your business, not yours. It's not mine. So we need to get to the place where that doesn't bother us a whole lot. But we also need to come to a place this morning where we understand that it doesn't make any difference what it is. We can change it. It's called cognitive restructuring, right? And we're also, this morning, we'll look a little bit at opposite action. So if something is in our lives that may not be good for us, an opposite action can make it change. And if I can change it, then perhaps it will become good, right? May not be the best thing in the world for me, but maybe it will. Opposite action is a technique that comes from dialectic behavior therapy, that's DBT. We use that a lot of the time, but a lot of the time we're using it without knowing that we're using it. But that can help you change how you feel. And if I change how I feel, what does that change? A lot of the time, and not all the time, but a lot of the time, when I change how I feel about a thing, I can change my action that's associated with the thing. Like if I don't like to exercise, if I can change my feeling about exercise, because exercise is very good for me. We don't doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be a bodybuilder or something like that. But the exercise, whatever exercise we're going to be doing, we need to understand it is good for us, whether we like it or not, right? Eating Brussels sprouts, is that good for you? It's supposed to be. They tell me it is. Research says it is. I can't possibly say how it is. I eat them all the time. I've never met a Brussels sprout that I really liked. You know, have you ever eaten Brussels sprouts? They're bitter. You love them? You love them? See? Oh, see, people are different. I eat them, but they're kind of bitter, you know. And since I'm trying to eat the way I'm trying to eat, we don't put salt or pepper on them. We don't put butter or anything like that on them. So you got to eat them just kind of, And they're not all that great, but understanding that they're really good for you, then I force myself to eat them. And I've become to the place where, okay, Brussels sprouts are good because Brussels sprouts are good for me. They don't taste like candy corn, but I don't eat candy corn because candy corn's not good for me, right? So this is something that, look, purposely doing the opposite of the emotional urge, you can reduce a feeling that is too intense or does not fit. Now, I'm going to tell you, you don't know how deeply I wish that Brussels sprouts tasted like candy corn. Right? That would be fantastic. But it doesn't. So sometimes we can change those emotions, change those ideas that don't fit the facts or don't fit the current situation. When we practice opposite action, we strengthen our ability to tolerate difficult feelings and make choices that align with our goal. What is our major goal? In here today, what's our major goal?
Making the right choice.
Making the right choice, learning about making the right choice. But beyond that, that's our goal for our group today. But what's our goal overall? What's my life goal?
To stay off of the addiction.
Yeah.
Maintain sobriety.
Stay in recovery. Recovery. Right? I want to get in recovery and I want to stay in recovery. Can you think of one thing about recovery that's not good? One thing about in recovery that's not pleasant?
Triggers.
Triggers? Well, that's not pleasant.
No.
But if you get into recovery really, really well, what are some of the things in recovery that's going to be unpleasant? What is it? Loneliness. You can't go. We talk about when you get into recovery, some of those people, maybe all of those people that you used to be friends with, you can't hang out with those people anymore. And one of the things that our limbic system tells us, and one of the things that our own thinking tells us, is that there's no other people in the whole world. There's 8 billion people in the world, but it's only those 4 that's going to make me feel fulfilled. It's only those 4 that's going to make me feel good. It's only those 4 people. Of course, we used with those 4 people, and those 4 people are going to cause us to get back into using. But it's only those 4 people, and I cannot do without those 4 people. Is that true? Of course not. Of course, I mean, there's eight. There's got to be other people on the face of the earth that we can interact with. There has to be, you know. But our thinking will lead us to thinking that. But you're right. We could get lonely. There's going to be some people out there that we're not going to be able to deal with. Anything else that's not good about it. Yeah, I don't look. There's lots of things about recovery when I first got into recovery that just plain stank. I can't use my greatest coping skill. Y'all have some pretty good coping skills. I've seen some of your coping skills, and some of them are pretty good. Yeah, some of them are, and they're really good. But I had to throw away my greatest coping skill that helped me cope with everything. Helped me cope with death of family members, helped me cope with losing my job, helped me cope with being kicked out of my house, helped me cope with having to live under people's houses, helped me cope with everything. I don't have that coping skill anymore. I had to throw that thing away because vodka turned out to be not a very good coping skill. So we lose some friends, we lose some coping skills. Now, as we move forward and mature in our recovery, those things that look like they were horrible, terrible, nasty, ugly things turn out to be pretty good things. It's okay. It's okay that I don't. The people that I used to use drugs and alcohol with, I haven't seen any of them in decades, and I haven't died from loneliness because I haven't seen. I discovered that there's other people in the world that don't use. And that's an amazing thing. I've also built some other coping skills. One of the greatest coping skills I have is we talked about this the other day is prayer. I'm going to pray. My Bible tells me to pray without ceasing, and there's usually not much of anything that I do that I don't pray about. Now I will say that yesterday I stepped outside of that rule in my life. That's a rule in my life. If you're going to do it, pray about it before you do it. And yesterday, I'm walking down the hallway, and Mr. Farmer said, "Come to my office." So I went to his office, and he said, "Look, I want to do this. You think you can?" And I, without praying about it, without thinking about it, I said, "Yeah, I can. Of course, I can do that." The Bible says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but it also says pray without ceasing. So before I do something, and don't you hate it when people say you ask them for a favor or something, and they say, "Well, I'm going to go pray about it." I had a guy that we went on vacation, and I wanted this fellow to come preach at our church when I was gone. And he's he's somebody the church loves, and they really wanted him to come. They had sought him to be their pastor years ago, and this guy told me, "Well, I'll pray about it." And so the first thing that ran through my mind was, what's to pray about, Bubba Head? Just get your butt on up here and do what you're supposed to do. You don't have any, come on. But if you think about it, that's exactly what he should have said, right? Because if God don't want him in that pulpit, I don't either. So we're supposed to be praying about everything and get all of that stuff lined out with God before we line it out with everybody else. But that's my coping skill now. When I don't know what to do, I know who does. So I go do that. But there's some things we need to change sometimes, and here's the deal. There are ways to change it. We're going to go over some of these things. And look, most of these are emotions and stuff like that, but they do lead to physical health, and we want to look at it in that way. So when might you want to use an opposite action? When something's going on in your life, when would you think you might want to use an opposite action? So here's the deal. This is a tool. Opposite action is a tool you can use when acting on your emotional urge would not help you out in the long run. What's one emotion that you know? Go ahead. Anger. Yeah.
It's like when things become toxic.
Yeah.
Before I become toxic.
Right.
It's something that's influencing me, whether it be a man or a woman or even a group.
Right.
Here.
Right.
To just be like, hey man, in myself, be like, I'm toxic. You know, the book, this workbook teaches us that's a warning sign. We're on a slippery slope.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Before we're taught that. And my solution is just to get up and quiet the legal situation.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really good idea. It's not a really good idea to just get up and quietly live group. Don't be doing that. But if you knew you were about to blow up and do something goofy, stupid, it would be a better idea to just get up and leave that situation.
Well, for me, I become impulsive and I start talking off at the mouth. And which, you know, at times it has become a confrontation with another man.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so rather than even going there or even knowing that I'm about to pop off at the mouth and state my opinion, whether it's right or wrong, right?
Right.
It's just best not do that. You know what I mean? And sitting, whether it's in group or at work and just sitting there and just like stewing about it. It's not my thing. I'm unable to do that without being toxic.
Yeah.
Being confrontational.
And that's a good point. You're one of the emotions that gets away from us quicker than anything else is anger. And we have to have some way to deal with anger. And we need to know in ourselves what it is that bothers us. We need to know what emotion that we have issues with. There's a lot of people that have issues with anger. And so we do. So we need to have a plan in place before something happens that's going to be outside of our plan. When there's some things we don't want to happen. Look, that doesn't mean that we're scared of other people, does it? No, being a little guy all of my life, for a long time, I went through that stage of the little man complex where you had to prove to everybody. Yeah, you're going to jump on somebody like Mr. Adams over there, Mr. Wingate, just to prove you can. I learned a long time ago I can jump on them big old boys, if I want to, but they've always been able to get me off of them pretty quick. Wasn't all that hard. Yeah, they got me off of them pretty quick. So it was pretty good, So at some point you have to learn a different way to deal with it. And a different way to deal with it is get outside yourself and do something different. Here's the deal. Acting on your emotional urge would not be good for you in the long run. Usually anger gets us messed up pretty quickly. So your emotion does not fit the facts of the situation at hand, or it's just too intense. I thought you were saying something. Yeah, I understand that. You would like to stop the feeling. You would like to stop feeling that emotion. Are you going to stop feeling an emotion? One of the things that we need to understand is emotions are okay. I have so many people come to our anger thing and talk about the shame and guilt and remorse that they have because of the fact that they have emotion. Guilt and shame and remorse are what? Emotion. So we are emotional beings. We are going to have emotions. You have emotions when you are born. You're born as an emotional being. You're going to live your whole life as an emotional being. And when you die, they can put on your tombstone, here lies an emotional being. Because we are that. That's who we are. God put that in us for a reason. It's not weird, and it's not unique. Everybody has them. Some people deal with their emotions a whole lot better than other people, right? They do. And so some people don't deal with them well at all. This is going to help us to deal with it. But here's the deal, too. When we do these little studies like this, I really appreciate most of you pay attention real well. Some of you don't. But that's okay. Most of you do. But if we get the information and then apply the information, it can be helpful. Right? But if we don't apply it to ourselves, then it's not going to be helpful. So here's the deal. This is how we're going to reduce some of these emotions or change some of these emotions. We first talked about anger, so let's look at it. You and a partner had a fight. You genuinely apologize for the misunderstanding. You want to let the situation go, but your anger feelings are very tough to shake. Right? They still kind of hang on in there. So what we're going to do is look at the opposite of that. What are we going to do to change that emotion? There it is. So here's the deal. Somebody threatens, attacks, insults, or offends you. Anybody been attacked, threatened, or offended? Oh, yeah. What does it mean if somebody attacks you? People don't have to attack me physically to make me feel that they're attacking me. You can attack somebody verbally. Yes, and you can be a bully. Anybody here a bully? Anybody here ever been a bully? Don't be a bully. You know. Yeah, I'll do that about you. No. I don't. I'm not I have pushed some people around in my lifetime, but I'm not I'm not a bully type of person. I'm one of those people that want to empower other people. So here's how you deal with anger. Somebody does all that stuff. Something keeps you from reaching whatever goal you want, and we respond to that in anger. And when we get angry, what happens?
We lose. We get stupid.
Yeah, we can come to that place where we lose all of our intelligence and we lose 40 points off our IQ, but the fight or defend, the fight or flight thing comes up and we feel like we have to do something. So how do you reduce feelings of anger?
Stop and think.
Stop and think?
Leave the situation. Assess yourself.
Assess your mental state. Or you can remove yourself from the situation. Sit and think about it, then act on it.
Right. So here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do opposite action.
Yes.
Just get a hold of that. I'm going to do an opposite. What I want to do is punch you in your head. No, what I want to do is kick you places you don't want to get kicked. I want to bite your ear off. These are the things that I want to do. Right? I want to see just where it is that you can get hurt. That's what I want to do. Because that's where anger brings me. Like you said, anger is going to drop my IQ down by about 40 points. And at that point, consequences are not what I'm worried about. At that point, getting you is what I'm worried about. So if I'm angry, here's what we do. To reduce feelings of anger, we have to do the opposite of the urge, which is to hurt somebody or do something like that. So here's the actions we're going to take. If I'm feeling angry, and some of you have already said them, avoid the person or the situation you're angry with, and like you said, go somewhere and take a time out. I just need to give myself some time. You know that old adage about count to 10? That's really workable. That's actionable. That's something I can do. Now, I don't really think that I don't want to stand back over and say, 1! Yeah. I'm going to go to my room. I'm going to go out and sit on the table. I'm going to go somewhere else, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to think about it. Myself personally, I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to talk about it to God. I'm going to say, Lord, this man or this woman said that. And people are always prone to do that, are they not? Somebody's always going to say something. Howdy, ma'am. You are loaded down with Clorox. I don't know what to do with Clorox.
No, she said give it to Miss Cynthia. Thank you.
There you go. So see, now back in the day, that would have frustrated me because here comes some folks that should be over the other place in group, but they don't have Clorox. So you do the opposite. You avoid the situation you're angry with. You take a little bit of a time out. And then here's something that may be a little bit harder. You intentionally be kind to the other person. Whoever's made you angry, you intentionally be kind to that person. Take them a piece of cake. Take them something. Tell them, look, you really look good in pink. Just be kind, even if you mean it or not. Yes.
I don't see how they can do it pissing off worse.
He said all that's going to do is make them even more mad. It might. But here's the deal. We need to be doing the opposite. Because now it's in your corner. You cannot deal with that person's emotion. That person has to deal with their own emotion. Right? I deal with my emotion. I'm not going to be able to deal with yours. You're going to have to. You're going to have to deal with that.
What if the situation arises, okay, and you have to step away and talk to the higher team,
Yeah.
and he settle you down, and you walk back out, and the person that started the situation is still in their feeling.
Mm-hmm.
How do we deal with that? We walk away again and avoid.
What is that? What does it tell you? What does that tell you? You know, if I'm angry, if I get angry, anger breeds anger. So if you're angry and it causes me to allow myself to get angry, and I go off and take a 10-minute break, and I'm taking some deep breaths, and I'm doing whatever it is, and I come back and that person's still angry, what's that tell me?
They haven't gotten over it. You got to move away again.
Yeah, you didn't take long enough. You didn't take long enough. Sometimes it takes 2 days.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days. Sometimes you need to leave that person alone for a while. Now, that's kind of hard when you're in a situation like we're in here. We're all living together and all of that kind of stuff. But you need to do the best you can to avoid that situation. Because it's only going to escalate if we let it escalate. And it can go somewhere we don't want it to go. Because if I'm angry all the time and I'm having fights with people and stuff, how long am I going to stay in treatment?
Not very long.
Until I get here and find out all that stuff, and then because this has to be what? A safe place. This has to be. I'm not. If I'm a big guy, I don't need to be afraid to be here, right? If I'm a little guy, I don't need to be afraid to be here. If I'm a little bitty girl, I don't need to be. Nobody should be afraid. And if somebody is causing somebody else to be afraid, then they're not going to be, welcome very long. So here's the deal: you intentionally be kind to the person you're angry with. And then this is also it's always been a little bit hard for me because I'm right.
Oh.
Okay. Usually when we're in a situation like that, we're the right one. We don't know what that other person's doing. But whatever they're doing, they're coming up against the right one. I'm doing the right thing here, and my point of view was right, So that's the way that is. But try to understand, and not only understand, but empathize. I can't say the word. Empathize with the person you're angry with. That means see things from their point of view. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I've heard people say that when someone pisses you off, you should pray for them.
Well, I think that I will do that. I will do that. I will go to my higher power. First off, I'm praying for me. Because, look, they cannot tick me off. They cannot make me angry. I have allowed myself to get angry. So I'm going to go to the Lord and I'm going to say, hey, look, I've just allowed myself to get angry because Caitlin walked through my group and destroyed the whole group. So, I've allowed myself to get angry. So I'm going to pray about that first. And then I'm going to pray about the other person. Lord, I don't know if I did something to hurt. So that is, that is actionable. It does work. Because, look, it's hard to stay angry with somebody that you're praying for.
God will take that away from you.
It will. And the Bible tells us not to be an offender and not to be offended. Don't be offended. Just don't let stuff offend you. Okay, that person may be ignorant of how you feel. That person is probably ignorant of like 90% of the things that's going on in your life right now. They don't know. They're ignorant of all of that. They don't know.
They don't know.
They don't. They don't know any of that. But, and here's the deal too, I don't know theirs either.
Right.
Don't know where they've been. I was doing something in here. I don't remember what it was, and I said something, and it was just to be descriptive. I was using a word to be descriptive about something. Whole group went. We had a good time. Group was over with. And then a fella met me in the back hallway back there to tell me that I had totally offended him. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't intentional. But what I had said, because I didn't know his path, I didn't know where he had come from. It was the word stupid. I don't usually use the word stupid toward a human being because I haven't met any stupid human beings. I just haven't. But I use, other people than I do.
So
but I used that word that day, and when he was a kid, from the time he was like 2, his dad had called him stupid. Just told him he's stupid, and that had caused him a whole lot of issues in his life. But he did exactly the right thing. He came to me after group and told me that had offended him. We had a guy in church. Guy was preaching, one of my ministers was preaching, and he said something that offended this other person. And on Sunday morning after the services, I saw him get up. He was sitting in the back, and he came up to about the front where the other guy sat and sat down beside him and told him, what you said Wednesday night offended me. And they had a really, they got it all worked out between the two of them. And by the time it was all over with, that's what you do. You have to.
Yes, sir. I was told about 2 words that can offend people, that people mismanage.
What?
It's stupid and ignorant.
Stupid and ignorant.
Yeah, like if you call a person stupid, they get offended. If
right.
you call them ignorant, they get offended. Some people. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge of a subject or a being. Stupid is stupid. I mean, that's a hard word to.
Well, I have been stupid on a lot of things, and he was saying 2 words that offend people are stupid and ignorant.
Yeah.
And stupid, that's a real derisive term, and it's divisive, and it's a bad term. And ignorant is not a bad term.
No, it's not.
It shouldn't be, but a lot of the times we take it that way. I'm ignorant of a lot of stuff.
Me too.
I tell you, it's amazing to me. I amaze myself at how ignorant I am with technology.
Right.
Mr. Farmer is brilliant with all of that stuff. Man, he and all that stuff. He knows all kinds of stuff. I'm looking at that stuff, and I'm in pretty good shape if I can type out my notes. Okay. And so I'm ignorant of a lot of that stuff. So look, being ignorant for me, that's not a divisive or derisive. I can't say the word term at all. But it's according also the way that you use it.
Right.
You can make it and almost any term can be used wrong, misconstrued. Yes. You had something?
No, I was gonna say what a lot of people don't know is just like what you just started talking about.
Wow.
Ignorance is everybody in here. If you don't know something, you know what I'm saying? Right. You're ignorant to the fact.
Right.
As simple as that. It's not a bad word, but a lot of people don't know the terminology.
And that's true too.
What ignorance means, so that's why they get offended.
A lot of people think ignorant means stupid.
Right.
Yes.
They don't know.
Like we have some people in here ignorant,
so that's why they get offended.
In cursive, white.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Now
and we are least to a lot of things.
Oh, sure.
Like, of the meaning of the word ignorant.
Right. That's just like me.
Yeah.
I'm right here. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing about me. If I don't know something, I'm not going to pretend like I do.
Yeah. And like we were discussing, a lot of people are ignorant of ignorance. A lot of people think that being called ignorant is being called is called stupid, and it's not. Yeah. So, and that's a really good point. Yeah, a lot of people think if I say that, but there's a difference if I say that you're ignorant or if I call you ignorant.
Right.
Because that's a little bit different. If I say, well, you're ignorant of that.
Right.
People, what did you say? Well, you're just ignorant. What? So we need to make sure that we're doing it in the right way. So try to understand what that other person's coming from. Try to understand their life choices. Try to understand what's going on with them. Because, quite frankly, we don't know. And, something that I said, something that I did, might have been offensive to them, and I need to know that. See things from their point of view. Try to see things from their point of view sometimes. And then here's one other thing. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm upset because I was still speaking when I was.
You were rudely interrupted. I'm so sorry. Did I interrupt you?
Yes, but it's okay.
Oh no, it's not okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just you went so long. I thought surely he's finished by now.
3.5607.
So here's the. This is a good thing. Exercise to blow off steam in a nonviolent way. You know, exercise is a look. God put exercise on this world and exercise in our lives to do a lot of good for us. If I'm angry and I go over there and attack the weights, I'm going to guarantee you when I'm finished with those weights, I feel better. The endorphins are flowing. I'm a little high. I feel really good. My self-esteem is up here somewhere. And it just makes you feel a whole lot better, and it will help you deal with anger. So if you're angry, go outside and grab one of those wore-out weights out there and wear it out some more, right? So these are some things we need to do to help us with anger. So how about, there's all sorts of feelings there that we need to, how about fear? Is fear an emotion? Sure it is. It's a primary emotion. It is the one emotion that leads us to anger. It drives our anger response more than any other emotion. When we look at the reasoning behind men being angry, what is it? What is the one big thing that causes men to have an anger issue?
Testosterone.
Testosterone? Fear. It's fear. We're not going to stand up. We're big, tough, poke our chest out and say, "You made me angry." I'm not going to stand up and say, "Well, I'm dealing with some fear right now, guys." Right. Mr. Gold intimidated me, and we're not going to usually do that. We're going to respond in fear. With the ladies, what is it with the ladies? That one thing that drives their anger issue? Loneliness. That's close.
They like to be in control.
They like to be in
control. I'm going to make a blanket statement out here, okay? Women have control issues. They just all do. And when at the beginning of a relationship, when they say, "Oh, I would never do that," that's one thing you can count on that they're going to do every time. Every time.
I need to talk to you. You're about girl.
He's got some
What did you say?
Fear of abandonment.
Fear of abandonment. That's true. That's the thing. It's all fear. That's one of the reasons. That's the big reason that we respond to anything in anger. With guys, it's just plain fear. We're just scared. With ladies, it's fear of abandonment. So it's fear. So fear is a real primary emotion, and it is something that we all deal with from time to time. So here's the deal. What if you're like taking a public speaking class? How many people are really good at public speaking? Yeah. So what's the number one fear in the world? Number one fear in the whole world.
Speaking directly to a group of people.
Public speaking is the number one fear in the world. Public speaking. What's number two?
I was going to say the fear of death.
Fear of death is number two. So what that means is that people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. They'd rather die than speak in public. And that's crazy, isn't it? But it's true. So here's the deal. If you have to take a public speaking class for your college so that you can graduate, but you're too scared when you think about standing up in front of people and talking to other people. So how do you do an opposite thing to get you out of being afraid?
To speak in public?
To do anything, any kind of fear. How do you deal with fear in your life? Whatever you're afraid of. If you're afraid of rabbits, how do you deal with being afraid of rabbits?
Get a rabbit foot.
Get a rabbit's foot. The fear of public speaking. If you're a fearful person, then you have this fear thing in just about everything that you're trying to accomplish. Right. So you need to deal with the fear thing. So, a threat to you, your life, safety, health, well-being, or reputation will bring the emotion fear up, right? That's just noticing what you guys are doing. So you have that emotion that prompts an emotion of fear, which creates an urge in us to either escape or to hide.
Escape or flee.
Yeah, we want to get away. We want to hide somewhere. We want to get that out of our purview there. We want to move it. So to reduce feelings of fear, we have to do the opposite of the urge. Right. Now, the urge is to escape or to hide. So what do? We're going to do the opposite of escaping or hiding. Face it. We need to stay in the feared situation. Whatever that situation is, we need to stay in that situation. If I'm afraid of public speaking, then I need to be finding me some situations where I can speak in public. All right? We need to do that. I have 2 ministers at our church. One of them is a pretty fair preacher. He can get up and he can do something. You have to kind of cut him down because he want to go for 2 hours. And he'll tell me, well, I like to talk.
Oh, wow.
I understand that, but you're not talking. You're preaching, so you need to do that in a different way. Yeah. The other one is so afraid. He gets up sometimes and he'll start to have a panic attack. And he'll go for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then he'll have to get down and go somewhere else. And take a break and do some other stuff and then come on back. So reducing my feelings of getting the fear out, I need to do opposite of the urge, which is escape or hide. I need to stay in that feared situation. I need to go somewhere and talk to somebody.
Talk to Jesus.
Yeah, when I was first beginning when I was a very young preacher, wasn't a pastor yet, I was a very young preacher. We lived right across the street from Terrell Park Baptist Church. What are y'all doing? You getting everybody's address or phone numbers and address? And there was no possibility of doing that unless you're in group. That's the only time to do that. So just so I understand that because we're here 24 hours a day doesn't mean we can do these things anytime but we have to do it in the middle of group. So just so y'all know that's what's going on, ladies. We're not really having group. I'm talking. Everybody else is doing something different. So stay in the feared situation, whatever that is. Get closer to the person, place, or thing or activity you're afraid of. In this situation, when we're talking about anger, we're talking about avoiding the person, right? Yes. In this situation, we are to avoid avoidance. What does that mean?
That means stay in the situation.
Right, stay in there. Don't avoid it. Go looking for, finding things where you can do the feared situation. So, do what scares you more than once. Do it over and over and over and over and over. This is why, I told y'all my wife is afraid of flying. So I've told her, she hadn't listened to me, but I've told her, come go flying with me. Just get in, we'll go, fly. You do that 20, 30, 40 times. You'll be all right. Yeah. So what do you do if you're in an airplane and it's falling and it's spinning
Don't freak out.
Freak out.
Freak out of parachute.
Parachute, freak out. There's no parachutes at 150 or 172, so you're going, and that can happen if you're making too quick a turn or something. Yeah.
You simply don't get on the plane.
Don't get on the plane.
You don't get on the plane.
Don't get on the plane to start with. That's perfect.
But
Don't get on the plane.
You won't know if that's going.
You don't know if you turn this way, and if there's the winds are wrong or stuff, it'll want to flip you, and you can get into.
That's a problem. You know what? That is a problem. You know what won't happen if you don't get on the plane. It will not.
You can get into a death spiral.
That doesn't sound
called
good.
death spiral. It's called tail spins. It's called all of that stuff.
You go ahead and do your death spiral. I'll stay through. I'll stay on the ground.
Let me show you what. Let me tell you what you do. You're going down. You're doing this. You turn loose of the stick. You let it go, and you sit there for a moment, and then you grab the stick again. That airplane is going to bring itself into a slower roll, and it'll slow way down. Then you grab the stick, and you pull it back, and then it'll pull it back, and you'll be straight and level flying. All it takes is let the airplane do what the airplane does. It knows what to do. You let it go, and it's going like this, and then it'll go slower.
So what you're suggesting is get on a plane, you get in a death spiral, and let the plane do whatever it wants. That's not listen to me, man. Listen to me. I understand that you're an educated man, but that makes 0 sense.
Well, that's how they build them now.
That's how it goes. That's what you do. That's what you do to get out of that. And before you get your license,
I'm not going to.
You have to do that. Your instructor takes you up and takes you down, gets you going. Of course, he shows you 2 or 3 times, you're going, and just turn it loose. The airplane, is going to take care of itself. It's going to lower itself down.
Because of the aerodynamics of
the way it's built? It's going to pull itself back out.
Right.
Look, the airplane, there was just a crash over the weekend where some UPS people were killed. Your airplane doesn't want to crash either. And that little thing you fly, and that's kind of like a kite. It's gonna do its own thing. But most people are going trying to hold it, and when you're trying to hold it, it's you've got it out of contour, and it's gonna crash. So what that means is sometimes the reason I told that story, sometimes when we're in the midst of mess, we have to do something that seems opposite of what we should do.
Let God take the wheel.
Yeah, let God take the wheel. Cause just turn it loose. Turn it loose. Get your feet off of the thing. Go. But it'll work. Yeah. So here's the deal. Get close into all of that. Do what scares you over and over and over again. Pay attention to the feared situation with all of your senses. Listen, smell, taste it, see what's going on. Why is this frightening me? Why am I scared of this? I think I'm going to really blow it. I think people are going to make fun of me. I think people are going to think I'm stupid or ignorant or something. All of that. So I need to understand all the reasoning behind this fear. And then here's your posture. This is what I'm supposed to look like when I'm scared. Raise my head. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to raise my head, pull your shoulders back, put your hands on your hip.
And
make eye contact.
Yeah.
Look at the person in the eye. Breathe deeply and slowly.
Like when you come across
and these things are opposite of what my urge is to run. My urge is to get away from there when somebody says, look, I want you're going to have to address the crowd. Have y'all noticed that your counselor has you get up here in front and address the crowd? Why do we do that?
So we won't be scared.
Look, public. If you can speak publicly, it's going to help you immensely in your public life. When you get back out there and go to work, the guy or the lady who can stand up there and speak to the crowd and do all of those kinds of things are going to have a better advantage than people who can't do that. The person who's going to run and hide, You know, when they say, look, we need you to speak to the group here. Can you do that? The person that does this is going to progress more than the person that says, oh, I can't do that. And no, I'm scared of that. No. So that's why we do that. We pull you here. We give you the opportunity. And it is helpful. All right, we've got a whole bunch more to do, but it is break time. So we're going to take our break. We'll be back about 15 after and get started again. Thank you.
Bring this to twist.
Does it work that way?
It works, but it doesn't spin as long.
So people.
Yeah.
Play on.
Here's the deal.
Huh? What?
You think you should know?
Right? Don't be interrupted with shit.
Oh.
It's like one class. Yeah.
That's what I was worried about. Pretty much the same.
And really
Why you don't see them?
They can see you.
Uh-huh.
Be like, only that way. It doesn't get us.
Oh.
Every once in a while. For that slot.
Can you go to Cheers, bud. You get up there and say,
Homework is cool. I took the shortcut. I say 100. My homework test. I'll stick with 0.
On the presentation, yeah.
in school,
I still pass.
I have this people in class.
What's good?
Yeah, that's all it matters.
What up, man? Looking up.
Little man.
Little man. That's
27 here.
6'7".
You don't think he's 6'7", bro?
That's what we tried.
Well, that's what we want. Can't have face. The grandfather go on. Like I'm not going to Texas. Yeah.
Oh, double stack? It feels the same, really.
Or this spin level.
About the same. If we have fish. Really? Oh.
Smoke. Smoke. Smoke.
I was about to say we can give you like if some of that if you want, you then get back to me.
Say, man. I ain't lying, man. That's the thing when we talk about food. I said, I know what. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got that's why I try to keep that space.
What's that?
All right. Get this thing going again. All right, we're back. Well, we're not all back. The back row is back. Yeah, well, most of the back row is back. But we went over anger and we went over fear. There's several different other emotions that we want to go over because these are the emotions that lead us to that place where we are having some issues. And so these are the ones we want to use this to be able to get beyond them and just to change them. So the next one is going to be disgust. And disgust, what is, when I say I'm disgusted, what does that mean?
You had enough.
Had enough?
Yep.
Okay. You just started working with a coworker who reminds you of a person you greatly dislike. You don't want your old feelings of contempt to affect your new working relationship. So disgust is contempt. I just don't like that person. I feel contempt toward that person. So how do I deal with that? And so a lot of times, look, this is not even toward you or toward that person. This one is talking about it's towards somebody else that used to be in your life, that's not in your life anymore, but this person reminds you of that person. So you
I was just going to ask what temptation.
disgust. Yeah, that's the emotion that we're. Disgust is an emotion. It's a primary emotion, and it comes up when I have a real deep dislike for somebody, and it just comes up, and I can't feel anything good toward that person, and so it's a real issue for a lot of people. So with disgust, what are we going to do to get rid of disgust? Get rid of that person, find a really good place to bury them. You know, we want to make sure that the body's not. No, that's not what we do, okay? We got to do it a little bit different. That is a way. but we're not going to do it. Facts of the situation. Something can make you sick. You're really not feeling good about it. Someone's influence or thinking could harm you. Someone you dislike is touching you. Something is going on with that other person that you're really not okay with. That prompts the emotion disgust. So at that point, what do I want to do?
Avoid that person or sit down and discuss with them if they want you.
Okay. I want to. The urge that I have is to recoil or to get away from that person. He wants to beat the people. To recoil or get away from that person because I'm just disgusted by who that person is, disgusted by what that person does, disgusted by what that person stands for. I'm disgusted by rattling snakes.
Oh.
I don't know why God made rattling snakes, but I tell you, when I got out, I lived in South Texas for a while. And when I'd get out of my car in South Texas, I would look. Because there's rattling snakes all over the place out there, man.
There's rattles.
Yeah, they're just terrible. So, to reduce feelings of disgust, we are going to do what we've done with every other emotion. And this is something we need to understand. In order to lessen these things, I need to do whatever is opposite of these things. And here's the thing. When these emotions are crippling, when these emotions are causing me issues or causing issues with other people, then I need to lessen them. I need to get them out of my life.
That's just what is it? You have contempt of someone, right? Yeah. Something's challenging your belief system.
Yeah.
Right. So ideally, right, we find out what that challenge is. What kind of feelings we have, and go towards a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. What spiritual principle do we use for that? You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the deal. When I'm looking, if that person if I'm having contempt for that person, and remember, this is a person who is not the one that I really hold the contempt for. This is someone who reminds me of someone I hold contempt for, right, and I'm pushing it off on that person. So, if I need to lessen that thing, because I'm going to tell you, there's some of the things in my life, I have a belief system. There's some belief. I'm not going to question my belief system in some of those areas. I'm willing to question my belief system in any area except my spirituality. Right. I'm not questioning that.
Well, that's what according to the steps, right? I believe in God, my Father. Mm. So, if I'm going to a spiritual principle as a coping mechanism to come up with a new behavior, right? Like for stopping cussing, like using so much profanity or any profanity at all. Right. I go towards a spiritual principle to find out what coping behavior can I practice right now. And that is going to God. Spirituality comes from God, not a tree.
Sure. Absolutely. So he's saying he goes to God to try to get some input from the Lord, how he's going to come up with a different coping skill to deal with that. I think that's fantastic. When we're looking at this, these are some of the things that I've got to do that are opposite, because what we're looking for is what is the opposite of my urge. The urge is to recoil or get away from that person. And the opposite of that is to get closer to that person. Get closer to the person, place, thing, or activity that you find disgusting. If indeed I don't want to look, some things I want to leave as disgusting in my life. I may not want to lessen that, right? Like eating raw oyster.
Oh, those are delicious.
Not done, dude. Yeah, he said, oh, they're delicious.
They're amazing.
They are amazing.
Be open.
Now I am open. They are amazing. In my whole lifetime, I've just turned 72. I have eaten one raw oyster, and that was about one too many. No. Intentionally be kind to the person you feel contempt for. Welcome and take in the situation that seems repulsive with all of your senses. Try to understand and emphasize with the person you feel disgusted by. See things from their point of view. It's just like this other one we were talking about when we had the anger and all of that stuff. Where we use the same coping mechanisms to get to a place where we'll be able to deal with this thing. Here's the deal. If there's something that is disgusting in my life, the very first thing I want to do is to analyze it.
Yes.
I want to know why this is disgusting in my life. Why is that disgusting in my life? If it has a connotation to it that I want it to remain as a disgusting thing, I'm going to leave it there. But if it's somebody like this scenario was somebody that I feel disgust toward because they remind me of someone else who did something, it's not that person. So what I need to do is get that feeling away from me, right? I need to get that feeling for that person who really didn't do anything to warrant that feeling from me. So I need to work on that. So if that's that, I need to deal with that. Yes.
You said fear and disgust are primary emotions.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, there's different classifications of emotions.
There are. There's different tiers of emotions. A primary emotion is one that you have that you cannot deal with. I mean, you're going to have that emotion. God put that in you for your own protection. Fear is a primary emotion. If something happens that warrants fear, if an alligator came in the door, we should all feel some fear on some level. Because of that. If a rattling snake's in here, same difference. Bear comes in here, same difference. There should be some, should be some level of fear in that because God put that in us for our own protection. Anger is a secondary emotion. It's not a primary emotion. You're not angry all the time. You don't have that in you all the time. Not everything makes you angry. You don't have that in you at every point. You're not going to be angry because it's a secondary emotion, and it has to ride in on a primary emotion, which is why you have to have fear before you can become angry, or you have to have something else, some other primary disgust, some other primary emotion that comes in that will allow you to allow yourself to become angry. Anytime I have so many people in the anger class come and tell me this is what makes me angry. And sometimes they get angry because I tell them that's not true. Because what made you angry is yourself. You get to choose. That's your choice. And I have a lot of people, I have no choice. I go from this to anger. No, that's not true. You're lying. You're lying to yourself when you say that because you have to have a primary emotion and then you have to have a process that you go by. Sometimes that process is pretty quick, but it's still a process and you still have the ability to say yes or no to it. So, yes, there are primary emotions. And when we get to those emotions, I'll tell you which one's primary. There's several of them that's secondary, though. So here's the thing. When that person is in your purview, when they're right there with you and stuff like that, we need to relax our hands, relax our torso, relax our jaw. Facial expressions need to change. We need to begin breathing slowly and deeply, and that's going to help us get to a place where we're no longer disgusted with that person. And remember, that person, place, or thing, they don't really have anything to do with your level of disgust, right?
Right.
They're talking about something. You're disgusted with somebody else. They just happen to remind you of that. I've been sitting in a session and have somebody tell me, you remind me of my dad. I don't like that. I don't like you. That's called countertransference. That's called transference. And then there's countertransference, well, it's the same thing with you, right? So We need to be looking at those things. The next thing we're going to look at is sadness. Anybody ever been a victim of sadness, just being sad? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We probably all had that. We allow sadness to get to that place of a critical mass, then it can rob your joy, rob your ability to do things. If you're just sad all the time, what does chronic sadness lead to? Depression. Yeah. There is a difference between depression and sadness, but when chronic sadness, you're sad all of the time, it can get to the place where it will lead you to be depressed. And I'm going to tell you, depression is not something we want to get involved in because it can kill you. Yes, sir.
Can it result in some low self-esteem also?
Yeah, it can. If you're sad all of the time, it can, because we get to the place where we start telling ourselves, I'm not worthy, of having any friends or family. I'm not worthy of having a relationship, And so it can lead to low self-esteem and does lead to low self-esteem. So here's...
I was in that position. Sadness.
Oh, sure. Sure. Because Maslow's hierarchy of needs says we have to have people in our life. We need love and belonging. We do. That's why there's so many clubs around. We go around here and find there's 5,000 Baptist churches within a rock's throw of here. That's not because all those people love God. Because if they did, they'd all get together instead of having 1,900 little churches all over. That's because we have a need for love and belonging, and we come together. You go around, it's amazing to me. You've got this church over here with 10 people in it, this church over here with 4 people in it, and that church, yeah. I actually had a pastor friend of mine, his church had 5 people in it, and he and his wife were 2 of them. So, so that's most of that, and they have the thing, what's that eye place where they do stuff for eyes? I don't know. But there's a lot of them like that all over the place because we need to be there. Sadness. In the midst of a hard month, someone turns you down for a date. Even though in your rational mind, it's not a big deal, right? Your feelings of sadness are really, really hard to overcome. So how do we overcome sadness?
By, I guess, putting ourselves around that takes the sadness away slowly, maybe.
Get around some other people. Yeah. Use drugs or alcohol. That'll take it out of there. So here's the facts of the situation. You lose or might lose someone or something that you care about forever. What does that mean? They died. I have a friend who lives across the street from me. He's in his 50s. And when they had the COVID thing, he and his wife both got COVID. And she died from it. It was wild. I'm sure she had all kinds of underlying health problems and all of that kind of stuff. But she was just a very young lady. And she died from all of that. He's still over there now, and he's a singer. And he sings in bars and stuff like that, and he's a country and western singer. Every now and then, he's out on his front porch, and he lives pretty good. He lives pretty good across the road over in his land a little bit there, but I can hear him. He's got the guitar going and got the amplifier going, and he's singing country songs. I'm so sad, man, my dog died, and, I ain't had breakfast, and, and it's just horrible, but he has that, and I can understand that. They were married for like 30 years, So that kind of stuff is going to happen. So you lose somebody. I also have a friend of mine who is pretty bad health right now. He had 2 sons, and he lost both sons. Both of his sons died. And it's really a sad thing when the kids die before the parents.
Yes.
That's hard. It's harder than hard. So, something like that was going to cause you to be in a tailspin for a minute. So things don't turn out the way you hope. Y'all ever had that situation? I have that situation. A lot. There's lots of things that don't turn out the way that I was thinking they ought to. I'm thinking they should. but they didn't quiet. Y'all know I told y'all about my little trailer that my wife and I pull around to State Park. It has some roof rot in it. Guy came out and he repaired the whole front of the trailer. Had to be repaired. He did all that stuff, and he did it for a good price and all that. And we were all excited and everything. And said, okay. I took my ladder. I'm not really all that trusting, so I took my ladder and I got up there to see, make sure there's no bubbles in it and stuff, and they're not. It looks pretty good. But back down on the other side down here is still a weak spot. And we had talked about that. He's supposed to fix that. He did not fix that. So things haven't turned out the way that I expected it to. So I sent him a text today, this morning at 5 in the morning. I sent him a text. I want to know when he's going to come fix that. Because my wife, he charged us this amount. My wife doubled that because she thought he did such a good job. Okay. She's never going to be out there. So, I went and checked it out, and now I'm feeling like, okay, you got paid already, come fix it. But of course he hadn't gotten back with me yet. So that's kind of what we try to deepen the sadness a little bit. But what do you do if you have one of those issues where you're sad? What are we going to do? You lost somebody, you have some sadness. This creates in me an urge to slow down and grieve. Is that all right? It is a bit, but because I'm a grief counselor, a complicated grief counselor, which means that beyond the 5 stages of grief, there's grief that goes on beyond those 5 stages, and I deal with that kind of stuff from time to time. But there's some things that we need to do when we're sad. So to reduce the feelings of sadness, we need to do the opposite of the urge. Instead of slowing down and grieving, I need to stay in the sad situation. I need to stay there. I need to think about that. I need to have that before me for a minute. I need to know what actually has happened. I need to know what this is.
Would that be a part of healing?
It is a part of healing. Yes. It's a large part of healing.
Are you feeling like such a deep sadness, like it's a broken heart?
Say, yeah.
Like a broken heart, that's more than just being sad.
It is. It is. And it can.
And it's hard. A broken heart is something that's terrible.
Sure, it is.
It's awful.
It is. And I've had that. Y'all remember Letitia Doyle? Anybody here know who Letitia Doyle is? Remember her? Yeah? Okay. Who's Letitia Doyle? She was that girl in about in the 7th grade that I fell totally, madly, and completely, utterly in love with. And then on the school bus going to school one day, she said, I got a boyfriend.
Oh.
Talk about broken heart. Man, that not only broke my heart, but it did some terrible things to my lizard and my gizzard and everything else. I was in bad shape. Because I just knew, hey, we're going to get married up, everything. But it didn't work out like that. So we need to stay in that sad situation. Don't let that thing slip away from us. We don't want to slow down. We don't want to quit doing what we're doing. We don't want to get to the place where we're in grief a lot. We want to get to the place where, okay, I'm going to experience this. I want to deal with it. I'm going to experience this. This is causing me all of this sadness. Okay, I want to experience this, and I want to get beyond it. Get closer to the person, place, or thing or activity that's making us sad. Remember, we are avoiding avoidance again.
Right.
I'm not going to avoid this. I'm going to get through this by getting closer to this. Whatever's causing me that, if something doesn't turn out the way that I'm supposed to turn out, like my roof caused me a little bit of sadness when I'm up there on top of the roof and I feel all of this stuff. So instead of getting out of that, I sat up there and I checked it out. I know where all of that stuff is. I got back down off of that. I'm in contact with people who are supposed to do what they were supposed to do. And now we're going to see. I don't know, if he doesn't contact me back and doesn't get back with me, I don't know where he lives or anything. So I'm not going to be able to do anything about that.
Yeah. I want to ask you one question. So after he supposed to did the job, you didn't go up there and check?
No, I wasn't there. My wife was there. I'm over here doing these things, and I didn't have an opportunity to go up there. But after a few days, I did. Because my ladder's laying out there, so I picked it up and went out there. And after a few days, I took a look at it and I figured out what was going on. But here's the other thing. Once we're in this sad thing, whatever it is, do some joyful or challenging activities. Do something that's going to make me feel. If it's a person, and if that person says no, I'm not going to go out with you, I don't have anything to do with you, then I need to do something that brings me joy.
Right.
So what brings you joy? What are you going to do?
I'll go to church.
Go to church? I love to go to church. Yeah, I'm going to be at church here in a few hours. What do you do?
Skateboard, play drums.
Say it again.
Skateboard or play drums?
Skateboard and play drums. I'd like to see him playing drums while skateboarding. I bet that's interesting. I bet that's interesting. What do you do that brings you joy? What do you do that brings you joy?
Well, I do a lot of different things. I mean, it's quite about what mood I'm in, but if I had something happen like that, I'd probably just pray to God and get it done.
Okay. All right. That didn't answer the question. What do you do when you already said, what do you do when what brings you joy?
Being in nature, going hiking.
Being in nature and going, I like that.
Or, with me,
like
it's
that.
several things. My grandbabies bring me
Yeah.
a lot of happiness.
Yeah, I like my grandchildren. That's why I got pictures on my wall with all my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. I don't want to go visit them because they're nasty and they're loud and they're what? Spoiled. And so, okay, but I can look at their picture and they look so sweet. Yeah. So that's what I do. So do something that's going to bring you joy. Do something. Pay attention to the present moment with all of your senses. What is that? If I'm paying attention to the present moment and I'm using all my senses to do that, what is that called?
World.
What's it called?
Being aware.
Being aware, yeah. But the other thing it's called is mindfulness. We talk about that all the time. So we're going to practice some mindfulness. That's going to get me out of there. Now, again, we got to watch our posture. We got to look and see who we are. We raise our head, pull our shoulders back, stand tall, do what we're supposed to do, move, and engage in somewhat. Exercise. Exercise is wonderful. Exercise is a cure-all for most anything. So do some gentle exercise. Do some stretching, walking, jogging, some little stuff like that. Sadness, look, is serious. We need to deal with it. How about shame? A lot of us have dealt with shame because this disease that we have caused us to deal with some things in a shame-based place. We've done some things that cause us shame, guilt, and remorse, and so we have to deal with shame, guilt, and remorse because of some of the things. Not the fact that we have this disease. People who have cancer don't usually respond when the doctor says, hey, you've got cancer. They don't usually respond by being shamed and being, guilt and remorseful and all of that stuff because of that. We have shame, guilt, and remorse because of some of the things we did, not because of the fact that we have the disease. So you're trying hard to break your old habit of never speaking up for yourself. When you give it a try, you feel proud at first, then you feel ashamed because you think you're selfish. So that's a little silly, I think. But how do we deal with shame?
How do we deal with shame?
Yeah.
First, we got to acknowledge what's making us feel with shame, and
I think that's true. The facts of the situation are this: you do something or have qualities that others may think is wrong. If they find out about it, So the emotion that prompts is shame. So this is what the urge that we want to do is to hide, shrink, withdraw, get away. So that's the urge. So I want to reduce the feelings of shame. So what do? I have to do the opposite of the urge. What's the urge? Hide, shrink, withdraw. So what does that tell us?
And we need to face
Yeah,
it.
we're going to do the opposite of that. When your behavior does not actually go against your values or other people, you can tell people who won't reject you what you did or do the behavior over and over. If it's something, look, the scenario that we have is that you're trying to break an old habit, and when you give it a try, you want to stand up for yourself. So when you're standing up for yourself, should you be ashamed of standing up for yourself?
No.
No. So if what we do is do it over and over and over again, or go and tell somebody, this is what I'm doing. You know, I'm just standing up for myself, and this is what I'm doing. And so that should be helpful. Don't apologize.
No.
Don't apologize for standing up for yourself or try to fix the situation. If you think something poorly about me because I'm standing up for myself, when I stand up for myself, what's that called? Well, there's aggression, there's aggressiveness, there's what's the other one?
Assertive.
What is it?
Assertive.
Assertive, and what's the last one? One more. Oh, come on, there's one more. You're either aggressive or you're passive or you're assertive. So aggressive means I'm going to get you. Passive means I'm going to get me. Assertive means it's going to be okay for both of us.
Okay.
So it's an okay thing for me to be assertive. I should never be ashamed about being assertive. After this meeting here, after we get through with this, I'm going to go talk to my boss, and I'm going to have to be assertive in here.
Right.
You know, when I do that, if I want to get things right for me, then I have to be assertive. But also, when I'm assertive, it means it's okay for me, but it's also okay for you.
Is aggression always bad? Like coming across as someone aggressively? You know what I mean?
It most of the time, aggression is always bad. When we think about aggression as being a good thing, what is that?
It's an excuse for bad behavior.
It is an excuse for bad behavior, but good aggression is assertiveness.
Is what?
Assertiveness. Being assertive, because being assertive is not passive. Being assertive means I'm standing up. I'm stepping forward. That doesn't mean I want to be aggressive toward you. I want to be mean toward you. I want to beat you up or anything, but I'm assertive. So what that means is if you come get on me, then we got an issue.
So that's not aggression. That's assertive.
That's being assertive. But it's being, it's being still in that assertive place. If 90% of the time, if somebody wants to do something that's on an aggressive level, and when they run up on an assertive person, they're not going to be aggressive anymore. They're looking for a passive person. Most aggressive people are cowards.
Oh, absolutely.
Most of it, yeah. And they're operating out of that place of cowardness. They're operating out of a place of fear, and they're trying to intimidate and scare. And when they run up on an assertive person who you're not going to do that to, they're going to deflect and they're going to go somewhere else.
Or they'll blame you for it.
Yeah, and they can do that.
I've had that happen.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
blame you, but they're the one aggressive. They put the aggression out.
Right. So we don't apologize for being assertive, and we don't try to fix this situation. If you don't like the fact that I'm assertive, then that's okay. That's your deal. That's your deal, not mine. It's your situation. That's not mine. So raise your head, pull your shoulders back, sit up tall, make eye contact, do the things you're supposed to do. When your behavior does not actually go against others' values, but does sometimes go against your own values, you need to tell people who won't reject you what you did. Look, I screwed up. I told a lie. I'm not a liar. And I told a lie. That person asked me something, and I knew that I was going to hurt their feelings, so I told them the truth. So I just told them a lie. I just lied about it. So then you can apologize and try to fix the situation. Say, okay, look, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I told a lie in that situation, but yes, you are actually an ugly person.
Right.
You know, a new hairdo didn't help. You know, I know you got your haircut, but it ain't help. You know, you still.
By yourself, your new haircut didn't help you.
No. I got my haircut, and you know, I was looking in the mirror the other day, and I said, you know, before I got my haircut, I was an extremely good-looking guy.
Right.
But now that I've got my haircut, I'm an astoundingly good-looking guy.
Whoa.
So,
Whoa.
yeah. So, here's the deal. If you do something like that, accept the consequences. People are going to be upset with you if you lie to them. Right? Yeah. How many times do you have to lie to somebody for them not to trust you? One time. One time. Once. You lied to me this time, you'll lie to me next time. Right?
Well, no,
I'm in
that's
recovery.
not necessarily true. That's not necessarily. I told lies. In my last job, I told a lie.
Yeah.
I tried to cover up being hungover at work.
Oh, yeah.
Some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so but I owned it, right? And my boss and I got over it, right? So people can recover and be forgiven for lying because even in Scripture it says, "Let some who hasn't sinned cast the first stone."
Oh, absolutely.
They can forgive, but
absolutely.
They're not going to forget.
Oh, that's exactly true. And I have forgiven people for all sorts of affronts against me. I still remember them.
Yes.
I try my level best not to bring that up,
right.
not to remember that stuff. But the Bible tells us that God not only forgives it, He forgets it. But we are not able to do so. So, yes.
And see, that's why I brought it up in Bible study class this year or last year. You know, and they kind of like, they disagree. But I mean, my Bible teaches me exactly what you say.
Yeah.
In order to forgive, you must forgive.
Well,
but then forgiving is just like you say, not when you back up.
It is, but here's the deal. I can forgive you even though I can't forget.
Right.
Yeah. Because I forgive the action. Yeah. I don't forget the action. And the next time you tell me something that seems a little bit, I might be thoughtful about it. Because I know you're capable. I know what you're capable of. So, accept the consequences. And here's the big thing. Whether they forgive you or not, you forgive yourself.
Right.
There's so many people that I deal with in the grief area that just have not forgiven themselves. They haven't forgiven the person who croaked. You know, people die. It's not their fault all the time. Sometimes it is, but it's not their fault. And, you know, they don't forgive. I have a lot of people who have a real hard time forgiving people who have died. That don't make a lot of sense, does it? But it's true, and they forgive. They have a hard time forgiving that person. And then I see a lot of people having a hard time forgiving themselves. I can't believe I did that. Well, you did. You did. There's no other way to get beyond that but to accept the fact that I did do that. I did that, right? And now I'm going to forgive myself for doing it. Because I will tell you this, God forgave me. You know, He forgave me even if I don't ask for His forgiveness. He when He was on the cross, He forgave all sin, future and past and future. So that's all forgiven. Sometimes we don't receive that forgiveness because, you know, we just don't. But I need to, now that since He's forgiven me, I need to forgive myself. Does it matter a whole lot if the other person forgives me? Doesn't really. I want them to forgive me, right? I want them to look me in the eye and say, hey, man, you know, it's okay. I forgive you. Don't worry about it. You know, you're totally forgiven. I want that to happen. But even if they don't, I'm going to forgive me. And that's much more important than that person forgiving me. Forgive yourself, and then, and here's another big deal, let go. Don't go back and sit on your back porch and drink coffee and watch the the butterflies and the rabbits run and just replay it over and oh man, I'm such a no. Let it go. You're forgiving yourself. Let it go. It's just like you. If I forgive you, I need to work it. Let it go. I don't need to bring it up 9 years from now. I don't need to keep it. And a lot of times I do some couples counseling. A lot of times that's one of the main things. The girl says he doesn't communicate. The guy says, yeah, I did this 30 years ago, and she's still bringing it up. She communicates too well. So just let it go. So we don't have a whole lot of time, so we may work on some more of this at another time. So we've still got 4 or 5 left, so we're not going to be able to do that. So questions, comments, or snide remarks?
I got a question about the aggressiveness. I'm not too on point about passive aggressive behavior.
Okay. Passive aggressive behavior.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive behavior is wonderful. What it is I'm an aggressive person and I'm hiding it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? You are a really good counselor. I just wish your paperwork was up to snuff.
Well,
that's passive aggressive.
Okay.
First thing I came is with a passive thing. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. But man, you have a body odor.
Okay.
That's passive, and then the last part of it is aggressive. So it's passive aggressive. It's trying to get both of them in together, and it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. So, where you go? Oh, you're going with you? See?
Yes, sir.
See, she's such a good counselor, but then she steals people from her. You say that's passive. So, all right, we're going to quit just a little bit early. I really appreciate you guys. I will be over to North here after a minute to pick up my paperwork. Thank you.